You're listening to the Australian Army Training and Doctrine Podcast.
I'm at the Australian Rules Football Oval at the Australian Defence Force Academy, and I'm with Private Heather Anderson. She happens to be one of the Australian Army's elite athletes. Private Anderson, you have been selected to play in the inaugural Australian Rules Football Women's League. Can you tell us a little bit about your football career so far?
So I grew up in Canberra playing rugby league from as early as possible when I was 5 years old, and with my dad being in the military, he got posted down to Victoria, and at the time they didn't have rugby down there, so he took me along to try netball instead. But that didn't last very long. They tried to make me wear a skirt from day one, and I couldn't really grasp the concept of no contact with it. So he took me along to AFL instead. I hadn't heard of it at the time, and I spent a good 6 years from there playing junior boys football. So I was the only girl in the entire league for about 6 years between Sale and Canberra. And then from there I got too old to play junior boys when I was about 15. So we went along and started playing women's. And from there I had opportunities to represent the ACT and get selected for the All-Australian side. And after joining the Army when I was 18, I got the opportunities to play for the Australian Defence Force team and get selected for the Western Bulldogs women's side for the exhibition matches, which led into the National League that they're starting next year, and after that getting selected for the Crows.
It sounds like quite a journey, bouncing between different codes of football. How have you found playing sport whilst being a serving Army member?
So it's worked out quite well, having the opportunity to play AFL in the Defence Force sport, and the team environment's always been a pretty integral part of being in the Army. So it's assisted in a sense, giving me opportunities to be able to play and train at a high level and develop my fitness physically to be at a high standard to have those opportunities.
And when you're not on the football field representing your service or your AFL club, you're also a soldier in the Royal Australian Army Medical Corps. Can you tell us a little bit about what made you decide to join the Army?
So I've wanted to join the Army since I was a kid. I grew up with two brothers, and we'd run around the backyard playing soldiers together and crawling in the dirt and wrapping the cat in bandages, pretending to be a medic. And as I got older, it sort of more grew into a sense of wanting to contribute to something and have a positive impact on a much larger scale and have the opportunity to help people directly. So as soon as I turned 18, I went down to the Defence Force recruiting office in Canberra once I finished school and filled out the paperwork to start joining.
And you also have a bit of a family history of service in the military, is this right?
Yeah, so my dad's currently serving in the Royal Australian Air Force. He's third generation RAF, and from a young age he always emphasised the importance of physically and intellectually, challenging yourself. And, we'd go on car trips when I was a kid, and we'd play games where he'd get me to memorise things like the phonetic alphabet, and Mum, being a nurse, would get me to memorise all the bones in the body and things. And from there it seemed like being a medic in the Army was the perfect fit. Me and Dad continue to have a strong inter-service rivalry with each other. He'll make fun of the fact that when I make my beds that the folds in the corners aren't 90 degrees, and I'll make fun of the fact that he hasn't done a push-up since 1987, but he's always been incredibly supportive of my goals with football and the Army.
You are currently posted to the 8th Close Health Company, which is located in Darwin and supports the 1st Brigade. How have you found working within a Close Health Company?
So I've absolutely loved working up in Darwin with the Close Health Company. Working in Close Health was my main goal once I finished my training as a medic, to have the opportunity to work in a variety of roles. And since I've been in Darwin, I've had the opportunity to work integrally as a medic with the other combat corps, so with the artillery units and infantry units, having the opportunity to work in treatment teams, being exposed to working in a high-functioning team environment with doctors and nurses, as well as other medics, getting to work in the med centre, so focusing more on that primary healthcare aspect, as well as getting to do opportunities to work within training to train other medics and see if combat first aiders and things.
It sounds like quite a busy and active life. What is the most enjoyable part of being a medic in the Army?
For me, I've always placed a lot of importance on constantly developing myself, both with my clinical ability, so constantly, studying, talking to people and being in an environment where people have a similar high level of drive to push themselves to that pinnacle. And again, with the fitness side of things as well, the medic company up in Darwin have got some of the most incredibly fit people I've come across, and having people like that to constantly challenge you and inspire you to push yourself has been fantastic.
And what advice would you give to fellow soldiers and servicemen and women on becoming an elite athlete and pursuing their goals in sport?
So I think the biggest thing for me would be the mentality you go about it with, so constantly having that sense of drive and humility to be able to push yourself to take responsibility for your own training and have the humility to be able to ask for help and use the people around you for support, and also to be able to support the people around you as well, so keeping that neutral sort of team environment going.
And finally, what does the future hold for Private Heather Anderson?
I think the biggest thing for me is going to be trying to maintain the balance between wanting to push myself to the pinnacle with my job and be the best medic I can, and gain the opportunity to help people, and also maintain the drive to push myself with my football as well and continue playing at a high level.
Private Heather Anderson, thank you very much. This is Major Mick Cook reporting from the Australian Defence Force Academy.
This podcast is produced by the Australian Army and is copyright the Commonwealth of Australia.